let's talk about hiding your screw heads with giant plug cutters, but also little plug cutters, and how we're going to create the counterballs for those plugs to go into. Yes, let's talk about hiding screws. There's lots of ways you can do it, but in this video, I want to show you how you do it with wooden plugs. Alright, we're not going to do any giant ones, not in this video, like these old monsters here, okay? Handy as they might be for hiding bolt heads and stuff like that, great, right? But in this video, I want to concentrate on the ones that you're more likely to come across and make use of. In this case, a little old screw head. How do we hide a screw head? Now, you might have seen on YouTube Shorts or TikTok where someone gets a chisel and they peel a little bit off the top, okay? Whack the screw in like a bullet in the china shop and then glue that down with maybe a clamp or a bit of tape or whatever. It never ever turns out very well. It always looks like I had to put there's a big glue line there or something because you put it down, you've torn all the fibres. So what you want to do to make it look more intentional and look intentional, and in fact you can even highlight the fact you put a screw there by putting a different colour plug in, if you like, if you want to get all arty crafty about it. So what we're going to do is talk about the actual plug cutters and also the balls themselves, the boring balls, the drills, what have you, to create the actual holes that we're going to stick the plugs in, and some little tips that might help you on your way. We're also going to be cutting some plugs and also going to be drilling some bores. Yeah, how boring. Anyway, let's start with these little ones here, the orange packet. Now, I've just got these delivered, and this is a set of 5 by Temu. I don't know what the make is, whatever, there's nothing written on, but they're tungsten carbide, a bit like router bits, really. So if I show you here, if I take it out of its little packet, it comes with an Allen key. This is not a sponsored video, I paid money for them. Crazy, eh? Yeah, I invest my eye on Temu. Yeah, crazy idea. Anyway, on face value, they look quite good. Now, there are some really good reasons to buy this type of cutter, but equally, there are some good reasons why you should be buying that kind of cutter instead. Or just doing it with separate drill bits and countersinks, etc. Now, the whole point of the counterball is hence this, like, it's not really a countersink because you're boring a hole to take a plug. You need a neat hole. Otherwise, you're going to have a situation that all around your plug is all going to be like splintered and stuff. You don't want that. It just looks awful. It does. So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing a bit of everything. So these ones, on face value, they look pretty good. There's a fundamental difference between that one, for instance, and, say, for instance, this one here. Now, one is the drill. That is just like a standard cobalt drill bit in there. And this particular set comes with 5 different sizes of drill bit. Now that provides your clearance hole for your screw. So let's, for instance, you're going to be screwing these 2 pieces of wood together. It will provide the clearance hole for the shank of the screw. Now that is really important. Otherwise what happens is, if you don't have any clearance on that screw, you go through the first piece of wood and then it's the second piece of wood, it'll try and push the 2 apart. You might have that happen to you, where you're screwing 2 bits of wood together and they don't seem to pull up tight. Until you wrench it right down and the screw head tears all the fibres and end up halfway down the first piece of wood. You don't want that. It's a bit rough, isn't it? Let's be honest, it's a bit rough. I'm all for saving a bit of time and what have you, but, you know, there are limits. You know, and I feel that a lot of people have lost pride in their work. I do, sorry, you know, if that's you. So this particular set, like I say, it comes with 5 different sizes. Alright. Like I say, I bought these. I'm not sponsoring for that, and I'm not trying to big up Temu, because I had loads of Temu. It was rubbish. Really rubbish. I mean, that's seriously bad rubbish. Now, you got that one's probably the biggest one. And that one's probably the smallest. Looks like about 2 mil or 2.5 mil in there. It doesn't tell you which sizes they are. I don't know if it even tells you on the actual... No, it don't tell you even on the cutter what size they are. Which ain't very helpful, is it? So you need to find a way of marking them, really. And so you know which is which. Otherwise you're going to copper, aren't you? You know. Get some verniers or something like that. Oh, how big is that bit in there? It's about 3.5 mil. So it's about 3.5 mil bit in that one. And they vary. You know, like I say, the smallest one, which is probably that one. They come with an Allen key as well, which I just dropped on the floor. And that one looks a 2 mil. Is it 2 mil? Have I got that wrong as well? No, that's 2mm. So from 2mm up to 3.5mm in drill bit size. The downside of that is obviously you're not going to be able to put a small drill bit in that one because it's got a bigger hole in it. You see, it'll be off centre. The thing about these ones, though, although they're still very good, is that you can't really use them as a countersink on their own. No, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain. And let me just put that back in there, though. So put that away. Don't know, I'm probably not even going to use that box. I'm going to let's put that in there. Get in the hole. Get in there. That's what I told you last night. Oh, get in the hole. Don't want to go in. Why don't I want to go in there? Oh, let's put the other way around then. Do it like that. That might make more sense. Oh, crikey. I can't even get the flipping box back together. So that'll probably get relegated for the bin. I probably won't be using that if I've got to do that. But, well, anyway. Now, the thing about that type and that type of cutter is that if you look at the actual cutters themselves, little tungsten carbide cutters on there, they are proud of the shank of the body of this actual counterbore. Yeah? Whereas that one, if you look at that, this area here, right, that is the cutter, right? So those faces will be rubbing on the inside of the hole as it drills a hole. The things that center itself. And also, if you, for instance, you just use it as a countersink and not, okay, I've got holes already drilled, you can still use that as a countersink if you want. Or bore the hole on top of an existing hole. So that is one of the benefits of that type of borer. Like this one, if you try to do, if your hole's already drilled, there's nothing to centre the bit. It'll wobble all over the place. Right? You're relying on the drill bit itself, so you can't just use that as a countersink. I know you shouldn't really do that anyway, but that's the downside of that type of cutter from Temu. So I'll put them ones over there. I'll keep one out for the moment, and we'll find one. Actually, I've got one in my air drill over here. Actually, that might be just as well to use that. Because this is the one I have been using. Did I get years? It screams. It does. It screams. Right. So I've got that one here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole and create the bore as well for the actual plug. And we're going to be making some plugs as well. And I'll show you those cutters as well in a moment. So I could feel that when I was drilling that bore, that was actually the bit itself. Let me show you if I take it out of the drill. Come on. I can't find the right chuck key for it now for some reason. There we go. Let's put that over here. Now this cutter here actually fits inside the hole neatly all the way around. So even if you didn't have the drill bit, it would still centre. Whereas with the actual the other ones, this one here, it would not. It requires the hole and the actual drill bit to keep that centred. Saying that, on the other hand, if that will actually go into there, so look. Yeah, well. This one was quick, if I remember rightly. Much faster. But also more aggressive. And the cut, if you look there, isn't as good on that type of cut. Alright? If you can be sanding it back away, well then it won't really matter. You know what I mean? You probably won't even notice. So what you can do is then, once you've got your hole in there, you can obviously get your drill and screw your wire. And you can screw your two bits of wood together. Alright? Now one's, that one there, for instance, has created a, like so, and they screw together. The same with the other ones. The other one here, which is done with the other cutter, my older cutter, which is a neater hole, much neater hole. And then what you can do, obviously, you can create a plug such as these. Now we're going to make them in a moment, and I'll show you. I'll take the pillar drill and I'll show you what I mean. You can cut these by hand without a pillar drill. All right. Now, some people say, how the hell do you do that with these things? Because these are the plug cutters. Like that. How on earth do you keep that centre? There's no centre drill to keep it centred. Because you can't have a centre drill because you want to keep the plug. You don't want to drill a hole in the middle of your plug. Right, I made a little gadget for that. Allow me to show you. And here it is. Right, that fits inside that. Okay? So all you got to do is, if you want to create a plug, argument says, let's create a plug on out of that. Grab a drill, all right? Put your cut in, like so. Hopefully it'll work. All right. Normally I'd clamp this all down, but I'm going to try and do it by hand, so I'm going to get on top of it, all right? Can I do it? Can I hold that or not? There you go. Screws the red paint, so I put some paint on it, so I didn't keep losing it in the sawdust. So there we have that one cut using this little guide. The ideal thing is obviously to clamp it down, but there is another thing you could do, which I've done on this little saw guide. See, there's two screws there, they poke just about through, just there. If I did the same thing to that, as I held that down, it's not going to wobble, is it? Because those little pinpricks of screws on the bottom there, right, sticks into the wood and doesn't move. See? Yeah? So it makes a lot of sense. So make this little guide that I created here be a good idea to do the same thing with that, and then you can create the plugs that way. So all you've got to do is then obviously is just pop that out with a screwdriver, or you can cut them out, which I'll show you in a moment if you want to do it that way. Then you grab your little plug and you whack it on your hole, like so, and you can tap it into place. Like so, try to keep it, you know, the grain in line and what have you, and then you filled the hole. Now that one isn't so good because that's the one I used the new cutters on, and they don't create such a neat hole. Those Temu ones don't. They're good if you want to sort of fast cutting, but if you want a neat hole, you're better off with that kind. You know, there are all different sorts out there. You know, or the other thing you can use is a 10mm drill bit, but if you do it this way with a drill bit, this is 10mm, yeah, it's 10mm. Alright, drill the bore hole before you drill the clearance hole. Otherwise, you'll just tear all the fibres like you do on that, because this is more aggressive. So you can just slowly does it. You drilled your bore, or you bored your hole for the actual plug, and then you can you put your clearance hole for your screw if you want. But let's just grab a plug and put that in there. Got to get wood in the hole, you know. Oh, yeah. Don't forget you put a bit of glue in there. You can use super glue, or you could use, say for instance, this one by Eureka Glues, which is a PVA glue. You use a D3, a D2, or whatever. It depends if it's inside, outside one, you know. But what you shouldn't use for your plugs like these is any kind of PU glue. I know you say, why is that? Well, you can use PU glue, but put a clamp on top of your plug. Right? I made this mistake before. I put the PU glue in, whacked the plug in, right? And because the PU glue expands, it pushed the plug out. Okay, it was a loose plug, but you know. See? So that's just done with a drill bit. So you don't have to have all the fancy stuff, like, you know, these fancy drill bits and stuff like these with, you know, to create the holes. You just use a fucking drill if you want. Now, the only thing you do need, obviously, is a way of cutting the plugs, no matter what size they are, even for like these big buggers here, alright? These are good, these, I'll tell you. Now, I'm just going to, if you want to remove it, you have to basically put your screwdriver in the middle of there, and you can actually split it into two that way, and it will come out. You can expose the screw again in case you messed up. You know, you could potentially damage the sides of the original hole, you know, to be fair. But you know, you can get your screw out again then, which I do want to do. I'm going to get that screw out there. Yeah, I just feel like it. Where's it gone? Where's my drill? Oh, there it is. Oh, crikey. And now it's out of there. Alright? Now, with these cutters, especially this type, which is a Wolfcraft one, these are quite good. These are actually quite easy to sharpen. If you want to sharpen these, you just want to sharpen that face there and that face there. Now, I literally just roll it against the bench grinder, like so. And you can also do it with a diamond sharpener if you want. But as long as that back edge is lower than that edge, the cutting edge, it's not going to rub on the back corner, and then it will work quite efficiently. These are quite good, all right? There's this other type, like these, a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit harder to sharpen, but they cut much faster. And the thing is, when these will start getting worn, they grip the plugs, and then the plugs break off, especially in softwoods. Now, we're going to go cut some plugs. That's what we'll do now. I will take you to the pillow drill. Yeah, we're going to go to the pillow drill and cut some plugs. All right, so over here we go. Blimey, hopefully I can get away not editing this video. So it might be a bit on the long side, but it don't matter really. You know, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to, do you? If you want to learn something, keep on watching. You don't want to be all the way up there, though. You want to come down here to the drill. There you go. So this is my pillar drill, all right? It currently has a cutter in there, and it is the type, which is, you know, this type of cutter. Which, you know, they're good. They're fine. They work well. All right? We've got a piece of old crabby bit of pie. I've been chopping holes in and doing all sorts of shit with it. And we're going to cut a few plugs. And the thing about when you cut plugs, don't think, oh, I can get another one in there. If you don't want to spend your life constantly clearing the broken plugs off out of the cutter, make sure you've got space around each plug you're creating. I'll show you what I mean. All right, so we're coming down here. All right, I'll cut plug in there like so. There we go. All right. Don't go too far down. All right, it's a good idea. All right. Also, to put the stop into position, so you never go deeper than what you need to go. All right. Now it is quite handy on deep, longer plugs, but sometimes if they're too long, you've got more to cut off, and you'll sand off. But also, the higher you get up the plug cutter, the more likely you're going to snap off the plug in the hole, and then it'll be inside the plug cutter. And then it's wrecked then anyway. So you've got to stop the drill, clear the plug cutter, and move on, and then carry on. The other thing you don't want to do, like I kind of touched on, you don't want to go too close like that. Think, oh, I can cut into the cut of that one, into that, you know, just into the actual curve of that particular cutter plug. But if you do that, you see, you'll also make it wobble, because it requires the outside of that hole to provide the stability for your wood, not the bit, but for your wood. If you're not actually clamping your wood down, you don't want to clamp your wood down for cutting plugs. Can you imagine what pain in the neck that would be? Now, we used to cut a lot of these when we used to do the old fit the old windows and stuff in the old mahogany frames. So we'd be cutting loads and loads and loads and loads of plugs, big blocks of plugs, out of the offcuts of the old windowsills. Don't go too quick, you know, it's quite easy to get a bit carried away. But, oh yeah, it's going in happening with a fluffy plug. You don't want a fluffy plug, you know. No, it gets stuck in the hole. Not that hole, no. That's a different kind of plug. Right? We're not going to go there today. So, you see what happened there? Just tried to wobble that because I didn't have this held properly. So if you don't make it start, so I'll just drift instead of cutting until it gets a bite. Don't worry, it's not going to grab it and throw it at you or anything like that. Not with a plug cutter. I've never had that before. Just keep on cutting plugs. So that's that type of plug cutter. Let's have a look at the other type of plug cutter, which I prefer in many ways, because quite often if I'm finding they're sharp, not aggressively sharp, I feel that this kind of plug cutter, you know, it does a neater job. It creates a better plug. So let's grab the other one. But they do tend to break off easier with these. And also these don't cut as deep, these ones don't. Always wear safety specs. You might not see me with a face mask on because I'm talking to the camera. I do wear face masks, so to be fair. But I always wear safety specs, decent ones. And these ones are Visionette. And they're corrected. They're varifocals from top to bottom. They're the same both sides, plus twos, but they're varifocal. And they're really good. Did you see it try to wobble it first? Try and make your cut. You go a bit deeper. And once I'm happy with that, okay, it's about right. I'll stop there. Let's move that round. There we go. And now we can create our plugs. It doesn't start as well as the other one, but it finishes way better, in my opinion anyway. See the problem that what's happened there? The plug itself has got stuck in the cutter. So let's pop that out there and just carry on. Sometimes they're hard to get out now, especially in pine. When you deal with this old shitty old pine, very open grained. And if you cut them too deep, that's more likely to break the plug off. That was wobbly, that one is. See, it's done it again. I know why, it's because I painted the flipping the plug cut and I need to clean the paint off really. That's a silly idea. I keep losing them in the flipping sawdust. But what's happening is it's gripping on the side of the actual, because the paint on the inside, it heats up and it's gripping it. Yeah, it is. And also, this one actually could do probably been sharp. It's fairly sharp. That wing there isn't sharp though. That side is. And that side isn't. Maybe that one's higher than that one then. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, so we're creating some plugs. So let's go back to the bench and let's play with our plugs. All right, there's other ways you can remove the plugs from the holes. Always remove your chuck key. Don't leave the. I've done this before. Leave the chuck key in there and then turn the machine on and that flies out, hits you in the face. Yeah. Now I use magnets. I've got magnets everywhere. I know some people don't put magnets on your pillar drills. All the metal filers were attached to it. Well, considering I'm, you know, cutting wood most of the time, it's not really an issue, is that? It's just I'd rather have a way of securing the tool than actually losing the tool. Now, we've got a few plugs already cut into that piece. There's another way we can actually cut the plugs or remove the plugs from our actual block of wood. And this is one way we can do it. Let's do it on the table saw. Right. This isn't the ideal blade for this, to be fair. It's a bit too thick. It's a bit of a thick blade. That'll do. Right. Oh, look at me. I'm going to cut my wood. I'm going to cut that on there. There we are. Okay, so we have our plugs, and 2 of them went on the floor. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is on the bandsaw, doing pretty much the same thing on the bandsaw, which is better. That's the wrong blade I've got in there. It's a bit had to put it a little bit chunky. Right, so let's bring it back down over here, like so. What we're going to do here is then we can say, for instance, we've got a few plugs there already cut out of a piece of wood. You can do it this way if you like and just pop them out with a screwdriver. We've just been able to. Oh, hang on, that's loose. Okay, when you get these things, make sure you check that the Allen keys are tight. The little grub screws. There you go. They're definitely quicker. They cut much faster, probably because they're new. Okay, so now we've got our little hole there. Drill. And now we can put that into there, and then grab on our plugs that was all pre-cut. It's just a lot neater that way, because obviously you pop out with the screwdriver. What you end up happening, it'll follow the grain as it breaks off on the bottom. If you look on that, it's not straight on the bottom at all. It's, you know, it's a bit kind of wonky. So look at that one. Same on that one there. You got a bit of splitting around the edge as well. Yeah, so it's not flat. Whereas when you cut them out on the saw, they end up being flat. But also, the best way of doing it really, I prefer doing it on the bandsaw. It's less aggressive, and they don't pop out everywhere. Because obviously the table saws try to throw across the bottom table. So make sure you obviously pop a bit of glue in there. Then make sure your grain is going in line. And tap it in, try and keep it straight. Okay, like so. Or like so. Let's do that one there as well. Should we do more? Let's do more. For the hell of it. Just for the hell of it. Yeah. And I can use a magnet to work out which one's got the plugs in the knot before I take it apart. Or I could just chop the end off. I don't want a situation where I end up forgetting there's screws in the wood. Runs with a plane or something stupid. Like so. And then you can either pair them off. Well, there's various ways you can do this. You can either use a... if I find it though. Oh, here we are. A little pull saw, like this one. And you can use that to cut off your plugs. Right? Or you can use a... trim that over myself here. A little block plane, such as this one. And you can plane them off like that and just take the tops off like so. Right? You can use a chisel. Such as this one. And you can pair the tops off like so. Okay? Just watch your grain though, because if your grain is going downwards, you end up tearing the fibres and you end up going into and splitting the end below the surface, sorry. You know? And the other way you obviously do it is just getting the sander. It's probably the neatest way, provided they're not too tall. And sanding the tops off. Like so. You know. And providing they're all in line, if you're clever with your actual, the choice of plugs and what have you, because obviously you've got it with the grain, you know, for instance, that one, if that was the other way around, it might look a little bit better. You know, we could argue that one might have been better there, maybe, I don't know. You know, but sometimes I think when you try work too hard to hide stuff, I think you can make things worse. I really do. So anyway, that's my little video on using the older plug car. I had to make a really short video long. I just did it. It's 27 minutes so far. Anyway, thank you for watching my little video. And give it a go. You know, if you've got hide screws and that, you know, you can, if you want, you could try the old, you know, where you, argument's sake, when you want to try and hide a screw, this one's a bit wide, this one, you could try this technique where you split the end, so you bring it up. It probably won't work now because I haven't got it in a vise. So let's see if we can do it. Right, like that. There we go, nearly there. And what you do is you fold that up. So you tear all the fibres like so. You then grab your drill or whatever, you create a pilot hole in there. Alright. I wasn't going to do this one, but there you go, I'm doing it now. And you can whack a screw in there. Oh, so I'm not level. Oh, see that? Oh, using the wrong bit, that's why. And then you basically glue and clamp that all down. God, what a hash of that I made of that, right? But the thing is, you get all glue lines everywhere. It looks like a mess. That certainly does, because I messed it up. So you basically you clamp that down, and it hides the screw underneath your piece of wood. It does work, you know. It's not my favourite method, no. Especially when I make a hash of it on a video. Oh, Christ. I need new chuck. In fact, I need some new drills, to be fair. I've had them so long, they're so worn. Everything's worn around there, just like me, you see. Yeah. So anyway, that was another way of getting rid of them, getting rid of the screw heads. But yeah, stick with the plugs. It's just easy, and it's repeatable, you know. That it is. Anyway, leave it most kind and boop the old like button and maybe subscribe to the channel. And also, I can do like super thanks and stuff downstairs, down below. And also, we've got memberships that I'm uploading stuff now up onto our Patreon. such as patterns and stuff like that, and drawings, as in piece of art that you can use. So anyway, it's time for me to go, so I'm going to say toodaloo, you know, but please beat the like button and maybe subscribe to the channel, because then you get a warm fuzzy feeling in your pocket every time I upload another video. Anyway, it's time for me to go, because it's too long, you know. Toodaloo.